sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. Thus, until I achieve Buddha, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Now the fourth session Guru Yoga, page 2. All other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, clear like Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, compassionate Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the four kayas. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, clear like Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, compassionate Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the fourth kaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, clear like Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord, Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord, Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, compassionate Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord, Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the fourth Kaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord, Buddha, protector of wandering beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness, and the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering, and the causes of suffering, may they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow, may they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness, and the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering, and the causes of suffering, may they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow, may they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness, and the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering, and the causes of suffering, may they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow, may they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. In the state of emptiness, the non-referential nature of all phenomena, on the seat of lotus, sun, moon, and corpse, one's mind as a brilliant red bum turns into Vajra Yogini red complexion, radiating with empty bliss. Wrathful in demeanor, with 3 eyes gazing towards the sky, right hand with Gatri, left holding a blood-filled Kapala. Her mouth is slightly open, tongue curled back and making the sound pem. And protruding from the right of her face is the face of a black sow. She is in the form of a 16-year-old, with breast swelling with bliss and adorned with the 5 born ornaments, and wearing garlands of flowers and heads. Joyfully her right hand holds aloft a Vajrakatri pointing towards the sky, and her left holds a blood-filled Kapala directly in front of her navel center, and held under her arm is glorious Heruka, in the form of a Katanga, dancing with her left leg standing upright and right bent, arisen within swelling red lights of empty bliss. Then above her head in the expanse of 5-colored rainbow lights on a jewel throne supported by lions, elephants, horses, peacocks, and garudas, in the center of a lotus, free from faults of samsara, on the sun and moon that eliminate the sufferings of cold and heat, the exalted mind of sovereign Vajradhara with the 7 attributes, the totality of the exalted speech of the Dharma of emptiness, of the perfection of wisdom, the exalted body of the perfect Buddhas possessing the 10 powers, is Jigten Sungun, embodiment of the 3 jewels, Lord of the teachings, victorious Rinchen Pil, presence of the Dharmakaya, pleasing to those trainable, Sambhogakaya, blazing with the splendor of the major and minor marks, and Nirmanakaya, glowing with reddish white light. Lord of the teachings, wearing the 3 dharma robes, a sleeveless shirt with the 7 noble riches, a meditation hat symbolizing ceaseless empowerment, and a golden skirt of the complete 9 vehicles. Right hand subduing the hordes of Maras by touching the ground, left in the mudra of the samadhi of immovable meditative equipoise. He sits in the Vajra posture, free from the extremes of samsara and nirvana. To his right and left are thrones, and on seats of lotus and moon are Avalokita in person. The Bodhisattva himself, Konchoratna, dressed as a bhikshu, holding a crystal mala and a stalk of lotus with his 2 hands. To the left is Choki Drakpa in the form of a bhikshu with the 3 robes, Manjushri Saraha in person, holding a vajra and bell and a axe and sword on lotuses. Both of them are wearing the meditation hat symbolizing changelessness. They are like reflections of the one moon dancing on many waters. They are accompanied by the 85 accomplished masters of India and by an ocean of Kagyu Siddhas of Tibet, gathered in the main and intermediate directions like immeasurable clouds. With Jah, the hook of faith draws in the wisdom beings from the expanse, with whom they arrive as the support of joy and kindness for wandering beings. With one they abide as the joy of limitless compassion. With Ho they move with a smiling demeanor, taming and caring for wandering beings. With compassion, please stay here with the light for the sake of wandering beings. I respectfully pay homage with fierce and longing faith of the 3 types to you, the glorious Guru, Lord of the 4 Kayas. With my body, speech, and mind, I make offerings, all these established things, outer, inner, and other. The one who offers that which is offered and the act of offering are indivisible in essence. This being so, I make this offering of the great single taste, free from elaborations. Grant me the accomplishment of effortlessness. I lay bare the impairments and breakings of the vows of the 3 vehicles, and rejoice in your liberating deeds. Please turn the wheel of Dharma in accordance with the capacities of those to be trained and remain here for as long as samsara has not been emptied. I dedicate the merit accumulated in the 3 times to the welfare of wandering beings. I supplicate you, the Dharmakaya, great Vajradhara of the sixth family. I supplicate you, the 85 Indian Mahasiddhas. I supplicate you, Tili Prajnabhadra. I supplicate you, Narogyana Siddhi. I supplicate you, Marpa of Lodra, the translator. I supplicate you, Mila Shepa Dorje. I supplicate you, Dao Shonu of Dakpo. I supplicate you, the three siddhas of Kam. I supplicate you, Dorje Gyalpo of Pagdu. I supplicate you, Jesun Dorje Pelda. I supplicate you, Supreme Refuge, Jake Den Sumgun. I supplicate you, Dharma Lord Ratnashri. I supplicate you, Kenchen Tsultrim Dorje. I supplicate you, Onchen Sonam Drakpa. I supplicate you, Chenga Drakpa Jungne. I supplicate you, Chung O Dorje Drakpa. I supplicate you, Toka Rinchen Senge. I supplicate you, Samje Drakpa Sonam. I supplicate you, Chuni Dorje Rinchen. I supplicate you, Tuku Dorje Gyalpo. I supplicate you, Nirni Chuki Gyalpo. I supplicate you, Shenyen Dondru Gyalpo. I supplicate you, Rinchen Pelgi Gyaltsen. I supplicate you, Chogyal Rinchen Pelzang. I supplicate you, Rixin Chuki Gyatso. I supplicate you, Gyawang Kunga Rinchen. I supplicate you, Jesun Rinchen Punso. I supplicate you, Rinchen Nampar Gyawa. I supplicate you, Benchen Belgi Gyaltsen. I supplicate you, Chokle Nampar Gyawa. I supplicate you, Sume Chogyao Punso. I supplicate you, Drupchen Tashi Punso. I supplicate you, Jesun Konjo Rinchen. I supplicate you, Rixin Chuki Drakpa. I supplicate you, Konjo Trinle Namgyao. I supplicate you, Konjo Trinle Sangpo. I supplicate you, Trinle Dondrum Chogyao. I supplicate you, Konjo Tenzin Rodu. I supplicate you, Tenzin Chuki Nima. I supplicate you, Kyabda Peme Gyaltsen. I supplicate you, Jamyan Chuki Gyaltsen. I supplicate you, Druwang Chuki Gyaltsen. I supplicate you, Rinchen Tempe Zegin. I supplicate you, Gyawang Tuje Nima. I supplicate you, Rixin Nuden Dorje. I supplicate you, Jesun Chuki Lodo. I supplicate you, Gyaucho Shive Lodo. I supplicate you, Jesun Dharma Kara. I supplicate you, Trisap Tenzin Tupten. I supplicate you, the dark Bokaju, protectors of wandering beings. I supplicate you, my kind rude Guru. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the rarity of the freedoms and endowments. I still squander away my life. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion. Reckless and mundane, although I meditate on impermanence and death, I still fixate on composite phenomena as permanent. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the unmistaken nature of cause and effect. I still pervert what to adopt and what to abandon. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the sufferings of cyclic existence, I still take the way to the lower realms. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, Reckless and mundane, although I safeguard the vows of individual liberation, I still lack renunciation and the determination to be free. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on all wandering beings as my parents. I still have bias attachment to friends and aversion to for enemies. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate loving kindness and compassion. I still hold on to envy and enmity. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion. Reckless and mundane, although I cultivate aspiration and action, bodhicitta, I still focus only on my own welfare. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on my body as the deity's exalted form. I still cling to ordinary perception. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion. Reckless and mundane, although I have counted the mantras to be recited, I still waste away my life force. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate the samadhi of moon in the water. I still solidify things as real and substantial. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I conclude by dissolving in the subsequent stage. I still purify and confess superficially. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on my own mind as free from elaborations. I still have conceptual attitudes. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion. Reckless and mundane, although I cultivate not grasping at whatever arises, I still affix an artificial watchfulness. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on resting freely in the natural state, I still amplify artificialities. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on unity beyond conceptions, I still get carried away by the masses of likes and dislikes. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, I supplicate you, who are my refuge and protector in this and all other lives. Physician who removes the chronic diseases of samsara, hero who vanquishes the enemies that are afflictive emotions, sun which expels the darkness of ignorance, moon that protects from the heat of suffering, jewel which fulfills all our needs and desires. You, Guru, who are all-inclusive and all-sufficient, I supplicate you from the depths of my heart. With compassion, swiftly heed me, effortlessly bestow your blessings. Grant me now and on this seat the naturally accomplished feast of the two benefits. I am endowed with both merit and devotion. Do not leave my hopes unfulfilled. Don't cast away my devotion in vain. Don't let my supplications vanish unanswered. Don't be indifferent with your compassion, refuge and protector in this life, in the intermediate state and beyond. Whatever occurs, joy or sorrow, good or bad, only you are my hope. Look upon me with eyes of compassion. You alone are my hope. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jigten Sumgun. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Konchorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyuntrun Dharma Kirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jigten Sumgun. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Konchorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gutru Dhammakirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jigten Sumgun. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwan Konchorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gutru Dhammakirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jigten Sumgun. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Konchorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyuntrun Dharma Kirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jigten Sumgun. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Konchorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyuntrun Dhamma Kirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jigten Sumgun. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwan Konchorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyuntrun Dharma Kirti. From this life onward until awakening is reached, other than the three of you, you victors, father and sons, I have no other hope. Don't lose your compassion and give up on me. As there are none like you, kings, you victors, father and sons, you are all that I need, my only hope and reliance. I supplicate you with fierce and strong devotion from the utmost depths of my heart. Without delay or indifference, look upon me with your eyes of primordial wisdom. After this life, while I am in the intermediate state, draw me out with your hook of primordial wisdom and compassion. And now please read 33 onwards till 41. Or otherwise, if you already know the content of that, you can also just rest the mind, recall again and again your own identity as Vajavarahi, and Kyobpa Jigten Sumgun with Goncho Ratna or Goncho Rinchen to his right, and Drikung Thil to his left, and surrounded by many, many great siddhas of India and Tibet. Thus these three victors, father and sons, the gathering and embodiment of the ocean of Kagyu gurus and siddhas and all idams, dakinis, and dharmapalas with wisdom, knowledge, loving compassion, exalted activities, and protective powers. By your blessings, bless me and all sentient beings so that our minds turn to the Dharma. Bless us so that Dharma turns into the Dharma. Bless us so that the Dharma enters the path. Bless us so that the path clears confusion. Bless us so that confusion dawns as wisdom. Bless us so that all our karmic and afflictive obscurations and our cognitive obscurations and habitual obscurations are cleared now. Bless us so that they are cleared on this seat. Bless us so that they are cleared in this session. Bless us so that our mind streams are cleansed. Bless us so that our mind streams are fully liberated. Bless us so that we are liberated now. Bless us so that we are liberated on this seat. Bless us so that we are liberated in this session. Bless us so that the supreme samadhi arises unmistakably in our mind streams. Bless us so that it arises now. Bless us so that it arises on this seat. Bless us so that it arises in this session. Bless us so that the unmistaken supreme primordial wisdom arises in our mind streams. Bless us so that it arises now. Bless us so that it arises on this seat. Bless us so that it arises in this session. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your forehead center, white lights emanate, dissolving into my forehead, immediately fully cleansing my body and my waking state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Nirmana Kaya, the exalted body Vajra. The Guru's exalted body and my body are inseparable. This is the indestructible appearances, emptiness, Kaya Siddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your throat center, red lights emanate, dissolving into my throat, immediately fully cleansing my speech and my dream state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Sambhoga Kaya, the exalted speech Vajra. The Guru's exalted speech and my speech are inseparable. This is the indestructible sound emptiness, Vaka Siddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your heart center, blue lights emanate, dissolving into my heart immediately, fully cleansing my mind and my deep sleep state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Dharmakaya, the exalted heart Vajra. The Guru's exalted heart and my mind are inseparable. This is the indestructible clarity, emptiness, Chitta Siddhi. O Gye, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your navel center golden lights emanate, dissolving into my navel, immediately fully cleansing my equipoised mind in the moment of transition of their obscurations, Having ripened the Swabhavika Kaya, the three primordial wisdom vajras of my body, speech, and mind are inseparable. This is the indestructible bliss, emptiness, Sarva Siddhi. Here the retinue dissolves like breath on a mirror disappearing. The glorious Guru's exalted body dissolves and furthermore turns into beautiful masses of five-colored lights. Resplendent like 100,000 suns, these lights dissolve into oneself. Immediately you are blazing in various colors of light. Bright lights and rainbows fill the 3,000-fold universes. This is the indivisible unity of clarity and emptiness, just as it is. Primordially free from elaborations, the great middle way, seal and perfection. Don't be confused by the names, their meanings are identical. The indivisible unity of primordial wisdom. Evam Maya Alalaho. By the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. So yesterday, we are at somewhere page 13, 14. We have begun to look at that list of the Lineage masters. Basically, completed until page 14, which is at the point of Kyobpa Jigten Sumgen. So those last 3 names, Dorje Peldra, Jigten Sumgen, Ratnashri, all 3 refers to Kyobpa Jigten Sumgen. So yesterday I talked a little bit about these names and also how this name that we commonly use now, Jigten Sumgen, how that was originally the way that Jigten Sumgen himself would address his teacher Pamodrupa. Jigten Sumgen means protector of the 3 realms, or the 3 lokas, the 3 worlds, which is referring to the realm of the sensual realm, the Kamaloka in Sanskrit, then the realm of the forms, Rupa Loka. So here forms is referring to subtle forms. These are these Brahma realms above even the ordinary God realms. The ordinary God realms that we often kind of talk about, like with the gods like Indra, these kind of pantheon from ancient India, you know. They are all part of the Kamaloka, the realm of the senses. So above them are what's known as the Brahma Lokas, the Brahma realms, which is also called the Rupa Loka, which is form. Rupa is form or appearance. So that's the Rupa Loka. Then rebirth in Rupa Loka is primarily achieved through the power of a stable and concentrated mind, as well as cultivating the four immeasurables. Then at the height of this is called the Arupya Loka, which is the formless Loka, the formless realm. And there, that Loka, that realm, is achieved through very powerful states of mind where it almost seems like, the mind as we know it, the coarse aspects of that mind have ceased. So that the highest within all of this, that existence is called neither existence nor non-existence. Neither existence nor non-existence. It's so subtle, the existence there. So refined that it almost sounds like it's nirvana. They're calling it neither existence nor non-existence. But nonetheless, the problem of samsara has not been transcended yet, has not been left behind yet. So these are the three realms, or the three lokas, and the three jikten. Jikten sum is the three worlds, the three realms. Jikten sum. Gun is the protector. So the protector, he who protects these three worlds. How does he protect these three worlds? Not by keeping the three worlds going, ironically. He protects the three worlds by working on destroying the three worlds, so to say, poetically, right? He's not like causing suffering by destroying. He's destroying the basis of the arising of these three realms of confusion. So this is also original. Jikten Sumgen originally was an epithet that is most closely used to address Avalokiteshvara. In fact, in the famous prayer, 21 praises to Tara, sometimes called praise to the 21 Taras, but more accurately it's 21 praises to Tara. In there, in the first verse, it refers to Avalokiteshvara. It describes how Tara is born arose from Avalokiteshvara's great compassion. And there, in that prayer, it calls Avalokiteshvara Jikten Sumgen, the protector of the three worlds. So originally, this name Jikten Sumgen was used to address Avalokiteshvara. But who we now call Jikten Sumgen used this name to address his teacher. And eventually his teacher gave that name to him, sort of like saying, you keep calling me Jikten Sumgen, Jikten Sumgen, Jikten Sumgen. You are truly Jikten Sumgen. So then that's how he came to be called Jikten Sumgen. So those three names, Dorje Peldra. Dorje Peldra is an earlier Dharma name that he received. Before he came to Pamodrupa, he was already an accomplished Dharma practitioner. In fact, he had his own disciples, his own patrons and supporters. eastern Tibet. But he was not satisfied yet with his understanding, with his development, with his attainments. From young, he was trained first by his father, who was a great master of the Vajrabhairava, which is a wrathful form of Manjushri. His father was well known for being very good at that practice. It's said that his father was the head of a community of lay practitioners, but full-time, very serious, although they are lay people, but they were full-time practitioners where not like us, we are not even part-time. So sometimes people get confused, They read about these lay practitioners such as Jigten Sumgön's father, and then they imagine, oh, we too, are like that. No, by lay, in the case of Jigten Sumgön's father, we just mean that, he has a spouse and children, but, all their daily activities revolve around Dharma. And how they made a living was very basic, So we know that Jigten Sumgön grew up in poverty. So, the father is not engaged in doing business, but the father is receiving offerings from others. When others request the father to perform blessings or pujas or things like that for people, including like praying for their health, praying for their wealth, praying for their safety, and so on and so forth. And so they receive other people's generosity, other people's offerings, and using that, then he supported his wife and his son, and I believe in sources it says that Jigten Sumgön also has a sister. But it was not easy life, in fact, father and mother passed away when he was still quite young. And he himself apparently had a good voice and could also read texts very well. And so then he also could earn some offerings for his family by reciting sutras. So this is a very common practice where people who don't know how to read or don't have time to read would sponsor other people to read the sutras. So you would invite someone, often monks or nuns, sometimes even not monks or nuns, if there are none in the area that some monks and nuns or many monks and nuns, cannot read also. But in the case of Jigten Sumgön, he was taught how to read from young. So then he was able to read, especially this collection called The Perfection of Wisdom. Yeah, so people around his area, around his village, would request him to come to their homes to read, to recite, not just to read, but to recite out loud the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras. So in that way, he also, received offerings to help supplement his father's very basic income. It said that at one time the area suffered from a terrible drought. So much so that then the father had to sell his texts. In those days, very hard to get texts, The father has to sell his practice texts in order to get some money to feed his family, and also his ritual implements that he had to sell. In the end, his father and mother died during one of these droughts. hunger, extreme hunger, that his father and mother died, if you can imagine that. Anyway, he dedicated his life from young. Then later his uncle took him in and then took care of him, provided him, a place to live and food to eat. And his uncle was a great practitioner of Vajrakilaya. Then he was trained by his uncle in the practice of Vajrakilaya, and very soon he himself, Jigten Sumgön, was renowned as a very powerful, practitioner of Vajrakilaya. And through the practice of Vajrakilaya, it said that he became renowned as having the power to heal people. So many people came to him in his area. Despite all these signs of progress and success and abilities, he was not satisfied. And one day he heard about this great Lama in central Tibet, and it said that just hearing the name, kind of this typical, in many stories of the great Lamas, just hearing the name of Pamudrupa, hearing the name of this teacher, he was like completely kind of swept up and inspired, like I need to go see this Lama. So then he made plans and he journeyed to central Tibet. So anyway, there are translations of Jigten Sumgön's biography in various forms. In particular, call your attention to Kenchen Tsultrim Rinpoche, maybe 10 years, 15 years ago, published a book called Opening the Treasure of the Profound. Opening the Treasure of the Profound, I think, which is a collection of songs of Milarepa and teachings of Jigten Sumgön, and then Rinpoche's commentary on those songs, Opening the Treasure of the Profound. At the back of this book, Rinpoche translated 3 biographies of Jigten Sumgön, 2 traditional biographies composed a long time ago, and then the third one is a biography at some point compiled by His Holiness the Drikung Thil, current Holiness outside of Tibet. And particularly that biography, I think, is very readable. The old biographies are done, in old Tibetan style. Might be a little bit harder for us to appreciate. But the one by His Holiness, I feel is very well done. A lot of information, and also worked into the biographies are various teachings of Jigten Sumgön translated, included in that biography. I think that biography has been under noticed by many people. People have not noticed somehow. But that's a very good biography of Kyobpa Jigten Sumgön. Now, page 15. So the next name after Jigten Sumgön is Kenchen Tsultrim Dorje. Kenchen Tsultrim Dorje. Now, who was Kenchen Tsultrim Dorje? Kenchen Tsultrim Dorje was the first successor, so to say, to Kyobpa Rinpoche. So by the time Kyobpa Rinpoche passed away, there was a large, a huge community of practitioners that have gathered in this valley to the north of Lhasa, known as the Drikung Valley. Drikung. Drikung seems to have been named after a female yak. A female yak in Tibetan is called Dri. So Drikung, the Dri is female yak. And so there's some story about some magical, yak, which is how that area then got the name Drikung. So when Kyobpa Jigten Sumgön left his teacher's seat, Pakdru Densatil, in further south of Lhasa, he wandered from place to place for a while before he settled in this area called Drikung, which is north of Lhasa, northeast of Lhasa. So anyway, when Jigten Sumgön passed away, there was a very large community, because within his lifetime, he was probably one of the most prominent, if not the most prominent Lama in terms of the number of disciples that gathered around him. Many early sources, not Drikung sources, independent sources, talk about the large numbers of practitioners that gathered in Drikung because of Jigten Sumgön, and how Jigten Sumgön would routinely send all these people who have come to train with him, to come to receive instructions from him and teachings from him. After a while, he would send them off. He would say, okay, now you have received everything that you need from me, so now no point hanging around here. Maybe also because there was a lot of people, and first of all, maybe not enough space. Second of all, with all these people, it's all just blah, 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 you're just hanging out, socializing. So he would send people into retreat. So many of the caves and, isolated places around Drikung was quickly filled by these people seeking quiet places, solitary places to practice. But there simply aren't enough, within that area. So he would send them further away. And in particular, he sent them to 3 of these mountains. The furthest one away is in western Tibet, called Mt Kailash in Sanskrit. Mt Kailash is sacred to both Buddhists and Hindus. It lies in the border today, lies in the border of western Tibet and India. So to this day, Hindu pilgrims will come up from the Indian side, and then Tibetan pilgrims will come up from the Tibetan side. Of course, now under the control of the Chinese. Mt Kailash. For Hindus, Mt Kailash is the abode of, like the holy home of Lord Shiva. For Buddhists, it's the abode of Chakasamvara and Vajavarahi. Then the other 2 mountains, so Tibetans call Kailash Gang Rinpoche. Gang Rinpoche. Then the other 2 places, one is called Lapchi. Lapchi today is mostly in the Nepal side, politically. North of Kathmandu. North of Kathmandu Valley is Lapchi. So it's possible to go to Lapchi. Kailash Gang Rinpoche right now, probably possible, but because it's under the control of the Chinese government, and sometimes, they don't let people go, or at least like foreigners. Yeah. But, it's a popular pilgrimage site, so Gang Rinpoche. So Lapchi is another important mountain that Jigten Sumgön sent many disciples there. And Lapchi is most closely associated with Milarepa. Milarepa spent a lot of time on Lapchi. But Lapchi is also associated with Chakkasamvara and Vajavarahi. And the third mountain is in southern Tibet, on the borders of Tibet and again India. And this is on the southeastern side rather than western. So on the southeastern side, this third one is called Tsari. And Tsari, as far as I know, completely not open to outsiders, because it's in a sensitive border region between political China and India. So the communist government don't allow foreigners to go to Tsari. And Tsari is also Chakkasamvara and Vajavarahi. So that these three are called the body mandala of Chakkasamvara and Vajavarahi, the speech mandala, and the mind mandala. Body, speech, and mind. Offhand, I cannot remember now which one is which. Sorry, I used to remember, but now memory is slowly disappearing. Dissolving into the Dharma Dhatu. So anyway, Jigten Sumgön sent many disciples to these, particularly these three mountains. Nonetheless, when he passed away, there were a lot of people still in that valley. And so the successor, the first successor to him was this great Lama and much older Lama called Kenchen Tsultrim Dorje in our practice, called Kenchen Tsultrim Dorje. And he was also called Gurava. Gurava identifies like his family, Gurava. It's like a family name. So Tsultrim Dorje from the Gora family, Gurava. So Gurava Tsultrim Dorje. Gurava Tsultrim Dorje was born in 1154 and passed away in 1221. Jigten Sumgön passed away in 1217. So then this senior monk took over as the head of that community for basically about 4 years, 1217 to 1221. Kenchen Tsultrim Dorje. Briefly, when Kenchen Tsultrim Dorje came, Kenchen means the great Kempo, the great preceptor. Especially during that time. So these days, you know, when people use the title Kempo, and there are many Kempos, right? It has become like the Kagyu, Nyingma, Sakya equivalent of what Gelugpa is called Geshe, which is, you can say, an academic position, which is that when someone who is learned gets appointed to be a professor to teach at monastic college or seminary, they get the title Kempo. Yeah, But the original meaning of Kempo refers to the monastic preceptor that gives the monastic vows to new monks. Yeah, so that's the original meaning of Kempo. In Sanskrit, is upadaya. It's the person who gives vows to new monks and nuns. And Kemo is the female. But today, this title is used mostly as an academic title. Yeah. But in the case of Kenchen, he was a preceptor, a monastic preceptor. He was probably in Jigten Sumgön's community. He was one of the main, not the only, but he was probably one of the main people that Jigten Sumgön would deputize. When people come and want to become monks in this community, Jigten Sumgön would deputize this job, so to say, to Tsultrim Dorje. And Tsultrim Dorje, when he came to join Jigten Sumgön, he was already himself a master and had his own students. He was trained not only in the sutra and philosophy, but also in Tantra, in the practice of Vajrayana. So he trained furthermore with an important Vinaya master from the Kadampa tradition. And so because of that, he was an expert in matters related to monastic vows, the rituals surrounding monastic life, all of that. So he was a Vinaya master himself. He trained for quite a number of years with the Vinaya master that he took his full monk's vows with. Then eventually, he settled in a place called Gora. So actually, sorry, Gora wasn't his family name, but rather where he settled, Gora. So later he's known as Gorava, meaning, the person from Gora, that area. So this area called Gora is in a valley that is not far from Drikung. And there he founded a monastery, and there he trained others who came to take monastic vows from him. And because he lived in Gora, so he was known as Gorava. In the year 1199, Gorava was inspired to go visit Jigten Sumgön. And so when he arrived in Drikung and met Jigten Sumgön, he was so inspired that he made the decision to not go back to Gora, but to instead join Jigten Sumgön's community. And so then he requested Jigten Sumgön permission to remain in Drikung. So then he settled in Drikung. So then Jigten Sumgön gave him, many teachings and guidance and Gorava practice in retreat. In particular, it is said that he focused on the system of the Four Yogas of Mahamudra, which is a way of training in Mahamudra. And there are various different approaches to even the practice of Mahamudra. And so we in Drikung now mostly practice what's known as the fivefold Mahamudra. So then there is also the co-emergent Mahamudra. And in this case, it's called the Four Yogas of Mahamudra. So it seems that Jigten Sumgön gave this Four Yogas of Mahamudra to Gorava. The system of the Four Yogas of Mahamudra were codified by Gampopa. So then Gampopa taught Pamudrupa, Pamudrupa taught Jigten Sumgön. It is said that on one occasion, Kyobpa Jigten Sumgön even publicly declared that Gurava is actually an emanation of Ratnasambhava, the Buddha of the southern direction, the five families, right? Ratnasambhava in the southern direction. And he said, Gurava is actually an emanation of Ratnasambhava. See, in Mahayana and Vajrayana kind of worldview, the Buddhas continue to emanate many Nirmanakayas, Sambhogakayas in all directions everywhere, especially in support of the activities of other Buddhas. So this shows the collaborative nature of the Buddhas. No pride, like, oh, I'm a Buddha, why should I go and help the other Buddha? But very naturally, all these Buddhas are emanating. So, for example, Jigten Sumgön's teacher, Pamudrupa, is said to be an emanation of a past Buddha called Krakuchanda. Krakuchanda. And in this case, Gurava is an emanation of Ratnasambhava. So this issue, right, of saying Tsultrim Dorje is an emanation of Ratnasambhava, I know it's kind of hard to wrap our head around, because then we say, well, so was he really needing to practice the four yogas or not? Then this is related to the two levels, relative and ultimate. Speaking with ultimate language, we say he's an emanation of Ratnasambhava. Speaking relative language, we said, oh, he was born, he trained, so on and so forth. When you and I, achieve to a certain level where other Buddhas will start prophesying and start talking about us, then you might hear these Buddhas saying, oh, so-and-so, Aiko, is emanation of, blue Tara, that's the ultimate nature. Then the relative aspect, we still have to purify, we still have to remove obscurations, So Gurava, it said that on one occasion, Jigten Sumgön says, you are the emanation of Ratnasambhava. But this also shows that, Jigten Sumgön had purified enough of his obscurations to perceive the pristine nature of Gurava. So in the past I have said, if you think, training in pure perception of the Guru is not easy, it's challenging, especially if Guru doesn't behave the way we want them to behave. If you think that is hard, I can tell you it's even harder for those playing the role of the Guru to perceive the student's pristine nature. Not just making fun of students, but really pointing out how, right? How can teachers simultaneously right? Perceive the pure nature of students and still point out the faults of students so that the students can purify the faults. You see? Whereas in the job of disciple relating to teacher, you have no business, helping teacher to purify. That is the teacher's business. Yeah, so those with, whether real or not so real qualifications to be teachers have a real challenge. Simultaneously you have to see, the pure nature of the trainees, and as well said, well, actually, you need to change the way you behave over there, 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 over there. And the whole time, but they are Buddhists, but they are Buddhists. So this two-track, like we say in Malay, pusing, the head just turn around and around, So that's why it's hard, to find teachers who have that ability, that have that balance. Anyway, Jigten Sumgön said, Gurava is an emanation of Ratnasambhava. So eventually at Drikung Thil, Kyobpa Rinpoche appointed Gurava to be the main preceptor, the one who gives monastic vows. So then as the Kempo, as the vow giver, not at this point, Kempo isn't used as an academic title. So there aren't that many Kempos running around. Basically, in one big community like that, only one person is called Kempo, because that person is the person who gives the monastic vows. So then, effectively, Kenchen Tsultrim Dorje was already the abbot, right, of Drikung Thil. Of course, Jigten Sumgön is the head teacher, but effectively, Tsultrim Dorje was the abbot. Then finally, in the last 3 years of Jigten Sumgön's life, he formally designated Kenchen Tsultrim Dorje as his regent. 3 years before he passed away, he named Tsultrim Dorje as his successor. Actually, no, I think Kyobpa Rinpoche designated Gurava, and Gurava served for 3 years. So it's not that for 3 years before he passed away. Need to correct this a little. Because at that time, Jigten Sumgön was already kind of training and grooming one of his nephews to succeed him. But when Jigten Sumgön passed away, the nephew wasn't ready yet, still relatively young. And furthermore, Jigten Sumgön's closest disciple, remember I talked about him yesterday, Sherab Jungne. Sherab Jungne stubbornly refused to be the successor. It's like, no thank you. Very smart man, He said, no. I want to go into retreat. In fact, after Jigten Sumgön passed away, immediately, all the funeral rituals, or big preparations, all of that. Sherab Jungne was the main, like acted as like in the normal world, like the elder son, took the lead elder sons, usually in Asian culture, will take the lead in, will be the lead mourner, so to say. So Sherab Jungne played that role. But then he said, but after this, I don't want, I'm not going to stick around here. I'm going into retreat. And so he did, And in retreat, he compiled. So on the one hand, during retreat, Sherab Jungne worked very hard to actualize all the instructions he received from Jigten Sumgön, because he knew that was the best thing he could do to protect Jigten Sumgön's legacy. And so you can see that he was not interested in the institutional side. The institutional side, that responsibility fell on Tsultrim Dorje. Very heavy responsibility, but he took it. So he took it while he continued to groom Jigten Sumgön's other nephew. Sherab Jungne was a nephew too, but older nephew. But Sonam Drakpa, the next nephew, or one of the nephews, there were quite a number of them. Tsultrim Dorje held the leadership of Drikung for 3+ years, and then when he passed away, then this position went to the next name in our list. You see, I supplicate you on page 15, Onchen Sonam Drakpa. On is nephew. Onchen, the great nephew. Chen is great. The great nephew, Sonam Drakpa. So then Sonam Drakpa took over. Yeah. Now, anyway, during Gurava's time, he also founded a monastery at Kailash. Remember, one of the 3 main mountains. So that monastery, it exists today. And it's said that that monastery, when Kyobpa Rinpoche passed away, and after the cremation, many of the relics that were found were taken to Kailash and kept there in this monastery founded by Kenchen Tsultrim Dorje. It is at the foot. And also, Gurava also founded a second monastery also in Kailash, and that monastery was more focused on studying, a monastic college. So in the year 1221, as Tsultrim Dorje was ill and recognized that that he is going to die soon, he then formally enthroned Sonam Drakpa as the successor, as the next throne holder. So, and very soon after that, he passed away at the age of 67. Generations later, so not immediately after Tsultrim Dorje passed, generations later, the Tulku lineage, remember the Tulku as an institution of succession, right? At this point, this Tulku phenomena, like finding a child and then training him, say that he's the reincarnation of so-and-so, right? At this point, not very common in Tibet yet. In fact, very uncommon. Yeah, it will be at least, I would say, 2-3 centuries later, before that way of finding successors that very unique way of finding successors developed in Tibet. So a few hundred years later, a Tulku lineage started by identifying Kenchen Tsultrim Dorje as kind of the origins of the Tulku lineage. Yeah, meaning maybe a couple of hundred years later, within the Drikung lineage, some child was recognized as the emanation of Kenchen Tsultrim Dorje. And that Tulku lineage, today, that Tulku is Trisap Rinpoche, the future regent for His Holiness. So the regent designate. And he is considered the seventh. So the first is Kenchen Tsultrim Dorje, then an interval of maybe a couple of hundred years, then the second, third, fourth, then our current one is the seventh. So this is briefly Kenchen Tsultrim Dorje. So for the next few, practice sessions, classes, is story time. Changchu sem cho rinpoche ma ge pa nam ge gyurche ge pa nyam pa me pa yang go ne gong du pe wor sho. See all of you tomorrow. Take care. Ta-ta.
Thank you, Lama.